insurance. And I was like, how? And they were like, you just do it, you know? So early on, there wasn't a ton of training. I had a couple decent mentors along the way that helped me learn and grow and develop sales techniques. I studied a lot, listened to a lot of podcasts, YouTube, but it was a long grind from, I would say, 2010 to about 2014 before I really actually figured it out. So now I do sales and
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. Today, I have a very special guest that I actually got to meet in person before this interview, which was really cool. It was really fun to do that. And I'm not, as you can see, I'm not in my usual setting. I'm not in my usual studio. It's a little bit discomfortable, but we're gonna make it happen. And before I introduce Peter to you, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I want to ask you for something. I want to ask you that if you get some value out of this interview, if you get some value out of this conversation, like some kind of feeling, something that you're going to go implement, something, I want to ask you to go and share with one friend, since this is how we grow, this is how we share our message, and this is how we motivate, inspire, and bless other people to change their lives. So thank you. And today I have Peter Fournier. Is that how you say your name, man?
Fournier? Yeah, Fournier, super French.
Cool. All right. So I have Peter. He, man, so I'm not prepared at all, man, but Peter is a good entrepreneur. He's in the insurance industry. He's been crushing it for the past over a decade now, and has had a great career. And I'm excited to dive a little bit deeper into your story, man. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it. It was great meeting you too. We were just at GrowthCon together literally a day ago. So it's wild.
Yeah.
Small world. I saw your t-shirt. You're sitting right in front of me. We're in like the first 3 rows of the conference. So if you're taking away anything from the interview, get in the first few rows because you meet pretty cool people. And Alex reached out to me to do the interview, and I saw his branding on the back of his t-shirt, and I was like, holy shit, it's him.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
I didn't expect you to be that tall, man.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
6'3".
6'3", nice. So 3 inches more than me. So I'm 6. Well, actually, man, I'm 5'11". But I like to
5'11" and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So the first thing that I do with my guests is that I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Cool. So I started out in college in the insurance industry as an intern, and I went to a couple captive agencies. So you're basically working for somebody. And then in late 2012, I went on my own, hired a bunch of people, went into a ton of debt, which I can share later. So it took me about 18 to 20 months to dig my way out of that grave financially. So I was not good with that pillar. And then in about 2014, I started to stable out, and it's been on the rise since then. So it was a long 18 months at the time, but a blip on the radar now. So I own all things insurance group. We do life, health, Medicare, ACA, annuities, basically anything you can think of in the insurance and financial services industry.
Cool. That was short, man. That was short and concise, and pretty powerful and interesting. So you started in insurance at 18?
I started at 21. So I got my license first semester, senior year of college.
Okay.
So I had a couple of fraternity brothers and a few friends that were in the industry, and I remember them coming back to campus, and one had a Maserati and one had a Chrysler Crossfire, if you remember that car back in the day. And I was like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? And they were like, we're selling insurance. And I was like, cool, sign me up. And my roommate was doing it at the time too. And I just went all in because as a 21-year-old college student,
That's what you do.
Not making a lot of money anyway. So just dive into something.
And you want to know something funny? I actually started my entrepreneurial career in insurance.
No way.
So from, like I told you my story before starting this interview. And so, when everything happened, I went into insurance. I actually started a company called Six Figure Agency, right? Because like what everyone wanted, like in the field, it was like make six figures, right? So I call it Six Figure Agency, and I call it like I had this thing called the Six Figure Producers Method, and it was pretty cool, man. And I actually, it went really well because of two things. Because I gave myself a purpose. So like I wasn't selling insurance, I was like helping Hispanic people from the middle and the lower income class get out of a generational cycle of poverty and build wealth. That was my message, right?
Right.
So, and the second thing why, I feel like I did it good or a little bit, like better than most is because I didn't do things the same way. So like I started doing digital marketing, generating my own leads, and it went really well, really fast, man. So like what's your process?
Well, starting out, I mean, I wasn't great. I was selling like, term policies to my fraternity brothers because I didn't have any sales tactics. When I first started, the company that I was working for basically told me to write down 300 people that I knew and then go sell them insurance. And I was like, how? And they were like, you just do it, So early on, there wasn't a ton of training. I had a couple decent mentors along the way that helped me learn and grow and develop sales techniques. I studied a lot, listened to a lot of podcasts, YouTube, but it was a long grind from, I would say, 2010 to about 2014 before I really actually figured it out. So now I do sales and coaching and consulting for insurance agents across the country through my Sling It sales system. But I wanted to create that along with helping the agents in my agency because the first 4 or 5 years were so hard. I don't think anyone should have to go through that by themselves. So that's kind of my mission. On my vision board in the other room, I want 1,000 agents on my team making at least six figures a year. That's my vision for the next 12 to 18 months. Because the industry itself is pretty simple. It's just not that easy, especially if you're going at it alone. So big mission is just help, support, training. I still produce myself to prove a point of how simple it can be. But there's no real reason that if anyone joins this industry, they shouldn't be making six figures year 1 or 2.
Especially with someone that went through 4 hard years trying to figure everything out, right?
100%. And it's important too for the audience, like no matter what industry you're in, tie into a mentor of some sort that's been through it already. Like I'm a big proponent of, I would rather pay for knowledge now than have to fall on my face and go through the mistakes again. So I've done coaching calls with Grant and with Bradley and a bunch of these, huge affluent people in multiple industries because I don't want to go through that nonsense again. And I'm not saying drop $5,000 on a coaching call if you don't have it, right? But tie yourself to somebody that's been through the experience before so you can learn from their mistakes instantly as opposed to going through the motions and spinning your wheels for years and years to figure it out.
Exactly. And that's how you collapse time, right? Like there's no reason to try to figure out. I like this. I think Will Smith, man, had I don't know if it was a quote or I heard it in a TikTok or something, but it was like that. He said that the two keys for life, right? And one of them is doing hard stuff like cold showers, running hot, like sauna, stuff like that, doing hard stuff. And the second key to life is reading books. And he said that the reason that is because when you do hard stuff, this little voice comes in, when you, whatever it is that you do for insurance, either like call or do events or like whatever, right? There's going to be this voice trying to hold you back and you got to be able to master that, right? So, and you're able to do that when you do hard stuff, right? That voice comes up and you're able to master it. And the second key was reading books. The reason that is a key is because there's no problem that you have right now that hasn't already been solved. And the way that you can get access to the answers is through books or other people.
100%. 100%.
So man, I would like to like dive a little bit deeper into those 4 years, man. Like what were the struggles, right? Because
Yeah, so I was a pretty cocky little shit back in the day. I was still a little cocky, but I transitioned more into confidence rather than cocky because there is a difference. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had a really positive attitude is essentially what what cocky was, right? So after going through a couple captives and you're working for somebody else, I wanted to start like an independent agency. So you still put your contracts through what's called an IMO, an insurance marketing organization. It's getting in the weeds, but you're essentially your own business owner, right? And you want to recruit and build a team and sell yourself and whatever. So I was really good at pitching and selling the dream. But I wasn't good at vetting the hires that I was bringing on. I was just taking warm bodies and being like, yo, you want to make 120 grand this year? Let's roll, like whatever. I was also really good at selling insurance, like ramming it down people's throats. And I was closing, but I was not retaining a ton of clients. So my persistency of clients staying on the books over the course of my first 12 months, let's say, was like 40%. It was terrible. Now it's upwards of 90, but back then it was 40. So I was hard closing my prospects. I was hard closing my agents. And in the insurance industry, you're responsible for everybody else's commissions that's associated with you. So I hired a couple bad apples. I wasn't good at training on retention. And in about a month to 45 days time, I got smacked with $48,000 of roll-up debt because a bunch of business fell off and hit my writing number, let's say, right? So I was on the hook for that almost immediately. That plus rents, plus utilities, plus I was just like we were talking earlier about your backstory. I was like you. I was going out. I was buying Grey Goose bottles for my buddies because I thought I was making good money, like going to the club every night. I wasn't saving. So all that was a perfect storm of like I was broke, like busted ass broke. Like not I didn't have no money. I had negative money. So I threw everything on a credit card. I mean, Chase Bank, if you're watching this, I don't think I can still get a credit card from Chase because I just went through every credit card that they had and kept rolling balances. It was awful. My wife now, but girlfriend at the time, and this associates with your pillars really well, is I didn't figure out the finances. I thought I was balling out when I first started dating her. And I was cool. And I had a Rolex and a BMW. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm the man. And then when I got smacked with debt, I couldn't handle it. So our dates were like, Netflix and chill with a bag of potato chips. And like we'd go out to dinner like once every 6 months, maybe. And I'd put that on a credit card. Like I had no money. And it really affected our relationship, too, because I was in a bad place financially. And that brings everything else down. I stopped working out. I was an asshole to her. I moved back in with my parents and that depressed me. Like when one, and I really love your messaging and I watched a couple other episodes before this, when you bring one of those pillars down or it's starting to crumble, it's bringing the whole house down no matter what. Right. So that financial destitution at the time really fucked up my life. And it took me, I was flipping Pokemon cards and selling sneakers and like on top of writing business because a lot of the money that I was making in the insurance industry was going to all that debt. So I had to do other stuff just to pay my feet,
okay.
And I thank God every day for my parents for at least letting me move back to New Jersey and live in their basement for a year and a half, But the good thing about it is that at the time it felt like forever. Like I know we were talking about your situation and stuff too. When you're in the mess, it feels like you're never getting out of it, right? 18 months, when you're in 18 months is like, holy shit, I'm never getting out of this garbage. But looking back on it, it's been 18 months of my 11 and a half year career. Now it's like a blip on the radar. So when you're looking back at the timeline, or if you're in the mess now, know that it doesn't last a very long time, right? When you're in it, it sucks and it feels like forever. But in the course of your career, your lifetime, it's going to feel like a blip on the radar.
Awesome, man. So lack of actually not awesome, man. I have someone working, watching my interviews and giving me feedback. And after every single sentence that my guests say, I say cool or awesome. So like I got.
It's good that you know that though. Yeah. I used to have those tics and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
So like after every sentence, cool, man. So I always say that, and I'm done saying that. So your let's see, the failure was the lack of retention when it comes to clients and recruits, right? So you have to recruit agents, right? So that they to like build a team, but you would recruit them, and then a couple of weeks after they would give up, right? And then your clients, you were shoving business insurance policies down their throat, not necessarily to like solve their problems, but just to maybe make some money, right? I don't know what your mindset was.
Yep.
And that cost, like, it wasn't a genuine relationship, right? So like you didn't bet the insurance agent that you were bringing on. You were just bringing them to like hit some number, and they weren't good quality, right? Which is something very important in the insurance industry. So like, what are you doing different right now?
So a lot of stuff. One, I developed a retention program for myself where I had 93% client retention after that, because I couldn't afford to lose any business that I'd sold, right? So you hit on a key point, is solving problems for people rather than selling them anything. You're selling them the solution to a problem. You're not selling them a product or a service. So that's an important switch, at least in my mindset, from a scripting perspective, from a talk track perspective, and from an empathetic perspective. Like, back in the day, I would just be like, Alex, you don't have life insurance? Like, what are you, an idiot? Right. And now it's like, what's your family situation? And what's your financial situation? What are your goals, et cetera? And more of a consulting approach to selling, right? So that's on the book of business. On the people, I spent a lot of years developing a personal brand. And now I'm pretty particular on who I partner or associate with in terms of agents coming onto my team. Now, granted, I hire a lot of brand new people too. So I will take a gamble on somebody if I see potential. But I'm not hiring every Joe Schmo off the street saying, hey, come over here, and not vetting them out. I want them to have a personality, a work ethic. It doesn't even matter if you have sales experience. That's neither here nor there. But I think after a decade or so of doing the same thing, you get pretty good at reading people. So if an agent wants to come on board because they see my watch or my car or the house or whatever now, and it's like, hey, new shiny toy, I want the money, great. I just want to talk to them for 2 minutes, and I can usually figure out whether or not they're going to be successful. Just on base of the answers to the questions that I'm asking them, et cetera. Now I have a team that helps me vet the agents. I was doing it by myself for a long, long time. Now I have other managers and stuff that they talk to as well. But it's really important. Spend the time now on processes and procedures, so that way you don't have to waste the time later, you know?
Cool. I said it again. So, man, so, all right. So now you have like, so now you're not like recruiting. Now you're not like selling the opportunity. You're buying the people who are a fit for the opportunity, right? Which
Very
is
good.
completely
Yes.
different. So before, you're selling, you're trying to get anyone that you can on your team, but now you're buying the person. They have to prove why they're a good fit to come with you, right? So like in life insurance, man, is definitely one of the best industries to start as an entrepreneur. And like, if anyone out there listening, they may want to like start an insurance, and they may be like, oh, like Peter sounds like the real deal, right? And they want to know more. So like, what would you tell them? Like, what do they have to do? What do they have to have, in order for them to feel confident going into the insurance world? So like, if do you interview them, or like, what is the process?
Yeah, it's not so much as an interview as just a dialogue. I want to know what their goal is, why they would want to make a transition, whether they're existing broker or they're not in the industry at all. It's a lot of why, because you will not be successful in this business, or probably any other entrepreneurial venture, if you don't have a why.
Which is cheesy, right? But it's real.
It's cheesy, but it's super real, and it's deep too. It's not like, why? Well, I want to make a lot of money. Well, why? Well, so I can provide for my family. Why? Because I didn't have that growing up. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Not, it's not that top line why. you got to dive deep a little bit and get to that root, just like overcoming an objection or whatever. I can't afford it is never the objection. It's something else. It's the same thing with people's why. So you got to have that coming in no matter what. The second thing that you need to do is you got to treat it like a full-time job, at least for your first 2 years. So you will work, you will grind. I'm not saying you have to work 90 hours a week, but like there are people that come into this industry and they were working 45, 50 hours in an office, plus drive time, plus gas, plus going to an hour lunch, right? You might factor in 10 total hours a day when you put it all together. And then they come over here and they work for like 3 hours from 9 to noon. And then they take a 3-hour lunch and then they go to the gym and maybe they make a couple more calls and whatever. You have to treat it like a full-time gig, no matter what. At least I always say for your first 24 months, because if you knock it out of the park, you could build up a great residual base. You could start building a team, et cetera. And maybe you can pull back slightly if that's your prerogative. Depends on what your why is, right? If your why is not to make $1 million to provide for your family, maybe you can sling it for a couple of years and kind of be done. But they got to have a why and they got to have a work ethic, 2 W's. Beyond that, I could teach you how to sell. I could teach you how to recruit. I could teach you all the products. Right. We got 100+ carriers. There's a lot to learn. I could teach you all that stuff. But if you don't have the foundation going into it of why and work ethic, it's not going to pan out.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I recently interviewed a bunch of people to hire for my team, right? Like I expanded my team, and I interviewed a bunch of people, and out of like I think it was 6 people, I hired 2, and the reason I didn't hire the other 4 was because they didn't have goals. So like not only do I want my the people that work with me or for me whatever to be my who's, like the who's that are going to help me achieve my goals. I want to be the who's for them, right? And I want to be able to be the leader that taught them so well, right? That gave them the tools and mindset and everything so that they can go and start their own thing, but treat them so well that they all stay with me, right?
Yep.
But if like they don't have goals, how can I be their who? Like their who for what, right? So like that's one of the reasons I didn't hire them. And the reason I hired the other 2 is because like they had ambitious goals and like they wanted something and they were driven and they had a very cool reason why. And they was like, okay, awesome, right? And like the skills can be learned pretty easily, but the mindset and the character of the person is like I believe what counts.
I love that. Yeah, you can't teach people how to not be lazy. It's like unteachable. You can't coach someone through that. You can't force them to get off the couch or get out of bed or do anything. So 100% agree with you. They have to have that drive first. You can teach them everything else later.
When it comes to like building, everybody talks about building company culture. When it comes to like building company culture, like you don't build company culture, you recruit company culture. So like if you want a happy culture, well, don't recruit sad people and then want to turn them into happy people, right? Like recruit happy people, right? It's like, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So
I think it's your job as an entrepreneur or business owner to sustain the culture that you're attracting. 100% agree with you on that one. It's very hard to cultivate or change a mindset of somebody. So just find the right people first and then sustain that culture. Keep it positive, right? You can't be a naysayer either.
Yeah. So man, I want to go a little bit more deeper into like your story. You said that it fits perfectly with how I explained the freedoms and all that. But before I do that, man, I want to ask you with so when you went in debt, right? Everything came back and bite you in the bottom, right? Because you were doing things, in not in the best way. And you said that, that lack of money affected everything else, right? Affected, like you stopped working out, you got demotivated or whatever. And, it even affected your relationship. And it's 100% true. Like if one of the 4 areas are bleeding, you're going to find that all of the other areas bleed as well, right? And, but an interesting thing here is that a lot of people think that in order to be successful, like they say that when they're successful, they'll start working on their body. They'll start taking care of themselves. They'll start meditating or journaling or taking cold showers or going to the gym or, being better husbands and better fathers or getting more spiritual, right? When they're successful. But like the reality is that is a lagging indicator. So like you have to do that in order to become successful. So what do you think about that?
I agree 100%. Like the financial stress puts stress on everything else. My body, my mind, my relationships, my family, right? All the above. So one thing that I did was I watched The Secret literally every day for about 18 months. So it was on Netflix. I think it's still on Netflix, The Law of Attraction, The Secret, et cetera. I'd fall asleep to it. I wouldn't finish the whole thing every single night, but sometimes I'd make it through the whole thing, or I'd listen to some of it. It was like osmosis just playing in my brain. And my wife will tell you, because she was pissed about it because it was on 24/7. So flipping that positivity mindset wise led me to get back in the gym, which led me to feel better mentally, which led me to sell more, which led me to recruit more, which led me to, and it becomes a perfect storm. Now, and for your audience, and you may agree or disagree with this, I think it's a unified effort with all four of those pillars. Now, you can have physicality first, and that can lead to success, which can lead to this, but you also have to do them all at once. So don't think, unless I'm wrong, don't think Alex is telling you like, oh, get jacked first, then be emotionally stable, then get your finances in order, then find a wife. Like that doesn't work. You got to do them simultaneously. It's just one will perpetually lead the other. So if you become physically active and fit, your mindset's going to be unbelievable. You'll want to work. That will achieve financial success. That will increase your relationships, which will make you want to be more jacked because you want to impress your relationship. And it keeps going around and around and around. It's the perfect storm of all four attributes that you need.
Yeah. So like if you start taking care of yourself and you learn how to love yourself, loving yourself, man, like that would be a very simple thing to start doing, to start learning that could literally solve 90% of people's problems.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
Because like if you love yourself, you'll eat good food, right? You'll sleep better. You'll give yourself a massage. You'll you'll like you'll do things to like take care of yourself, man. Right? And you'll work a little bit harder for the things that you want. You put yourself first. You'll be a little bit selfish, and that's literally a very important key. So physical freedom, and then that's going to translate into your emotional freedom. You're going to feel better about yourself. Then you're going to start making more money, financial freedom, and then that's going to give you an amazing foundation for having it all, right? And going and getting like the woman that you're going to spend the rest of your life with and build a family with. So yeah, 100%. Like all of them work together, and they're all crucial. And I just want to mention one more thing before like I jump to another,
Sure.
which is like your your outer game is a direct reflection of your inner game, right? Like what's going on in here, right? So like whatever it is that you have, all the results, the body, how you feel, right, emotionally stable or not, with your relationships, how much money you have in your bank account, all of that external stuff is a direct reflection of what you got going on internally, right? And one way to put it is that your bank account, your bank account is a direct reflection of your emotional bank account, right? But the thing here, like the key here is that your bank account, your financial bank account, is a lagging indicator of your emotional bank account. So like a lot of people are trying to get money and then feel good, but that's not how it works, right? Like you gotta feel good in order to be able to get money, right? So like things, a lot of people got things backwards. So I just wanted to like establish that. Maybe what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's true. So just like recruiting or attracting a customer or anything like that, you should be attracting money. So it's not that you're going out and chasing it, even though that's what everybody wants to do, at least initially, right? Oh, I got to get the next dollar. I got to get the next 1,000. I got to get the next client. But just like you said, you should be attracting that wealth or that money or that next sale or whatever the case may be, because it should be happening up here 24/7. That's a hard thing to do. You got to, just like you build muscle, you got to build this muscle up here. And it's that positive mindset to attract that financial freedom that you got to practice doing, because that's a perfect example. You can't be like, hey, I'll be happy when I'm rich. You'll never be happy ever. It'll never get there. So I think that's a perfect way to explain it.
And then if you do that, you attach your sense of self-worth to the amount of money that you made. That's why when you lost your money, you got depressed.
Exactly.
Right? Because like, so like if the financial bank account is not a lagging indicator, right? Then your emotional bank account will be attached to how much money you make. So like if so you will always be like this, right? So like if you make a lot of money, oh, you're on the top of the world. If you make a little bit of money, you feel sad and depressed, but that's not how it should be, right? Like you are you regardless of the like the external whatever it's happening, externally.
Yep.
So Ben, okay, so you started in insurance 21. You spent the next 4 years like failing, trying to figure everything out. Going through a lot of pain and setbacks and fear and everything that an entrepreneur goes before they figure it out and they have success over an overnight success. And so you went through that for the 4 years, and then what else happened? Right. So how did it look like for you to start having success? And then how long after that did you get like married and all of that? So
Yeah. So
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to tell you that this podcast has completely changed my life in ways that you could never imagine, and I would like the same for you. Look, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and the fastest way for you to level yourself up in every area of your life is for you to connect with people who are where you want to be, build relationships with them, and connect with them. The best way for you to do that right now in the digital age is for you to start your own podcast. And I just wanted to let you know that I have a free training that you can get free access to. It's called the 30-day Net Worth Skyrocketing 3-step podcast cloak track framework. And it's going to show you how you can start and automate everything in your podcast, from finding your ideal guest, getting them on an interview with you, and creating an automated content machine in just 30 days. By executing on this free training, you're going to be able to connect with high-level people, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem, in just 30 days with less than 1 to 2 hours per week, so that you can increase your net worth, your authority, your trust, your client acquisition ability, and your opportunity. So there's a special link for this free training in the description of this video. Thank you for watching and tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Through that process, I took some W-2 jobs on top of the insurance, on top of the flipping, because like I had to get out of the hole, right? So I remember what it was like to have a job and just above broke, right? Just over broke. I think that's what job stands for. So went through that process, eventually moved out of my parents' house. I got a little condo in Montclair, New Jersey, which was pretty cool. Eventually asked my girlfriend at the time to move in with me, now my wife. And then recently we had an opportunity to partner with a company down in North Carolina. So that took us down here in the height of the pandemic in April of 2020. And we built a house down here. We got married last May. So it's been pretty good since then. Also since then, career-wise, developed a coaching, training, consulting company for insurance agents across the country. Because like we were talking about before, I didn't want anybody to do it alone. I actually found my marketing team at GrowthCon in 2018, which was pretty cool. I was sitting right next to them. So just like Kismet sitting behind you and then doing this interview, sat right next to them. We were talking over dinner and I was like, boom, let's put it on retainer. I'll tell you, tell the audience too, one thing that I started doing, and this might be scary for some, but we just did it this weekend, is really starting to invest in personal development, events, audio programs, coaching. I probably spent, I don't know, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 maybe over the span of since 2014 on self-development, because just like we said earlier, if this ain't right, nothing else is going to be right. So when you start making a little bit of money, don't be scared to invest in a coaching session, a program, go to a live event. Like I was so friggin' fired up after the last day of GrowthCon, like I always am. I was fired up when I woke up this morning, and sometimes you need that reinvigoration to happen and you need someone else to bark at you or motivate you or whatever. And a lot of people will be like, yeah, I'm not paying whatever amount of money to go do basically a performance, right, of successful people. Like, what are they going to teach me or tell me? It's not necessarily about the applicable stuff that they teach you. They're going to teach you how to work, right? And the stories are so uplifting and motivating. Like, dude, we saw President Trump, we saw friggin' TD Jakes, Tim Story, like all these people that are on such another level telling you that you can do it too. and you
Imagine
can.
that. Yeah.
Like everybody has that opportunity. So really starting to invest in your craft and yourself, because you either got time or you got money. So if you want to learn it the hard way, go for it. And maybe you'll figure it out by the time you're 40 or 50 years old or whatever. And by that time you got, less life left, or you pay to learn it. And I'm all about that mindset. So that was a big proponent from, I would say 2014 till even now. Is really investing. And, I spent money on stuff that I thought was cheesy or whatever, but at least I went for it. I gambled, and I found some coaches and mentors and events that I really freaking love. And I go to almost every year. But taking that opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to drop $5,000 on a ticket to an event or something like that. It's ballsy, but I promise it'll pay back dividends in the future.
So what do you think people are fear to do that, man?
What was that? Sorry.
Why do you think people have fear to do that?
Immediate gratification and return on investment. They can't, I don't think they have the foresight to think about what that event or that coaching program or that mentorship call or whatever is going to pay them over the lifetime of their career. Yeah. They're looking for, oh my God, if I drop what was our ticket to GrowthCon? $10,000. So $10,000, they're looking at, well, if I don't get $10,000 at the event, I spent all this money. Like, what am I doing? Or if I don't double it or triple it. But the networking that you manifest, these type of relationships, right? You be on someone's podcast, develop your branding, plus the learning on the stage, it will pay 10, 20, 50 fold, but it's going to come over the course of time. It's just like a big thing that I did. If you're in sales, do this. I don't care what you're selling. Put a monetary value to every aspect of your business. So every activity that you do, assign a value to. So I know if I pick up the phone to make a cold call at this point, whether they pick up, they don't pick up, they say, fuck you, what they hang up on me, doesn't matter. That's worth about $100 based on my sales ratio, my closing, my presentations, etc. So if you know that, I know that I'm going to get close to $1 million from spending the $10,000 at GrowthCon. Now it's going to come in the future, right? But over the course of time, that simple investment will deposit over $1 million into my bank account over the course of time. And that's how you have to look at anything that you're investing in like that. But a lot of people are scared and they're skeptical and they don't have the foresight to do that because they never did it. So just pull the friggin' trigger,
Okay. So lack of foresight. So lack of, how will this work for me? Right? How will this work for me? Maybe not.
Everybody's looking for that. Everybody's looking for that instant gratification, right? And you're not going to get it. Not in business. It's very hard to do that. To start a company and boom, year one, you're at the top, right? It's impossible. So you got to remember that with anything that you're investing in, yourself, your business, events, coaching, whatever.
And another reason why I believe people are afraid to invest in themselves is because they, the number one fear, the number one core fear that everyone has, man, is the fear of not being good enough, right? So we have a fear that if we invest in ourselves, we are not going to be good enough, and we're not going to be able to get a return, right? So we have this fear of, I don't deserve it, or I'm not worth it, or so that's what it comes from, right? And you just got to be aware and be like, no, I deserve this, and this is going to help me get to the next level. And $10K for that ticket, man. I had one conversation with a girl whose gift, she said her gift was that God spoke through her, right? And whatever it is that she that. So if she sees you and let's say God spoke to her, she has to tell you, right? So I had this conversation with this girl, man, and she came to me and started telling me about my future. She started telling me about the things that I'm going to achieve that I already know, right? That I already have in my mind. And when I was talking to her, she was telling me all this stuff, and I was like, I know. And I was like, yeah, I know. And she was telling me that she was giving me a validation. She doesn't know me. I didn't even know that she exists. And she was telling me all of this stuff. And I was like, I know. And then she told me, yeah, and you're going to do all of that, and you're going to do more. And God told me to tell you that you're still playing small, she said. And then I was like, holy shit, why? What are you talking about? How do you know this about me, right? She probably heard it on YouTube or whatever. But no, she didn't know anything about me. And she told me that her gift is that God talks through her. And it was insane, man. That one conversation was like invaluable to me, right? So in the past 2 years, man, I've invested over 150K in myself. And like sometimes, you want to, like, you don't know whether you should invest in yourself because maybe you did a past investment which you didn't get a direct return on investment from. So now you're like, oh, am I really worth it? But always 100% of the time you are, right?
I think that really correlates well. What you just said is the self-doubt that will manifest also into not getting your return on investment, because the ROI comes from execution, right? Nothing that those dudes tell you on stage, nothing that I can tell you in a coaching session is going to make you millions unless you get off the friggin' couch and do something about it. So that self-doubt also becomes a little circle of non-influence, let's call it, right? From the sake of, well, I can't spend $5,000 on an event, or I can't spend $200 on a webinar or whatever, because they know in their heart of hearts, they're not going to use it because they're a bum, right? Or they don't feel like they have self-worth, or they don't believe in themselves. So I think those two work hand in hand.
And like, so what do you have to do? Like, how do you solve that? Do you have any advice on that?
I think you just whip out your credit card.
Exactly.
And,
do it.
And you do it. I mean, I tell new agents this all the time too. Well, I don't have money for leads. And I'm like, that's okay. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express does, because you'll have 30 days to pay that off. So if you're going to invest in marketing for yourself and you don't friggin' believe in yourself that you're going to sell, then this is the wrong industry for you. So I mean, I had to do that. I had to go on travel trips and go to where there was leads and put all that crap on a credit card. And it led me to get out of debt probably a hell of a lot faster than if I just sat on my ass all day. So you will force yourself to get ROI out of something because you're scared of swiping. So spend the money so you can force yourself to get up and do it. Because now, so let's say you spend 10, 20 grand to go to an event. I got to make that up 20-fold now, right? I have to. I have no choice. I can't just let it leave my bank account and never come back, right? So it will force me to get up and do something about it.
There's no doubt, man. I bet you had some conversations that are probably going to lead to you making your money back. I have some amazing conversations that are going to lead to like me making my money back in like the first day. And it's pretty cool, right? But I think the biggest shift, the biggest benefit from doing this kind of stuff is like you're changing your identity. You're changing how you view yourself. So now all of a sudden you're exposed to this high vibration, high frequency, high energy that you are not exposed to every single day, and like you get a taste of it, right? And then you want more, and then you start getting comfortable in it. So the biggest benefit from speaking to over 72, highly successful entrepreneurs who are decades ahead of me this past 6 months, the biggest benefit, the biggest thing for me has been my shift in my identity, man. How I view myself. So like who I am right now is irrecognizable to who I was 6 months ago. 6 months ago, before I started my podcast, and I built a network of over 72 high-level entrepreneurs that know my name.
I love that. Yeah, you're getting reprogrammed because you're getting around the right people, right?
Yeah. So, man, let's talk about your coaching, right? So now that like we're talking about investing in yourself and all of that. So, how does your coaching work, or like why would someone like do it, right? Yeah, talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah. So essentially my whole goal for insurance agents is they're paying to eliminate time. And I've coached a couple of realtors and some contractors and other salespeople too, but my primary focus is the insurance industry. So I probably have about 1,500 clients on the Sling It sales system right now. I do like one-on-one coaching. I have products. I have the Sling It playbook, which is probably the most popular. It's just A to Z, how to be successful in the life insurance industry. And it's scripts, it's presentations, it's applicable shit. I mean, I motivate you throughout, and I'm a dude from North Jersey. So there's a couple swear words in the books too, because it's how I talk. But the book and the audio program is a little bit of hype, but a lot of application, how to invest in yourself, how to buy leads, how to sell the products, the presentations, the scripts, closing that I use, etc. So, and again, I did that because I don't think that anyone should have to go through this and go through the same terrible process that I did for a 4-year span of time. What if I could cut that down to 90 days of pain for you? instead of 4 years.
Incredible.
You know what I mean? And I promise you'll get the ROI out of it. If you're listening to this and you're in the insurance industry, I won't let you fail. You'll let you fail. I won't, right? If you need, I have a couple agents that basically pay me to kick them in the ass every week because they just need it. And they know how to sell, they know how to train, they know how to recruit. They're just lazy inherently. And they're like, Pete, I just need you to pump me up and call me a little bitch or whatever they need, on a weekly basis. And that's fine. Whatever you need, I'm there. But the primary focus is definitely the insurance space.
Yeah, man. Your coaches, like investing in a coach like you, like your coaches or consultants or whatever you want to call them, will literally believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
100%.
I've had that experience with you. I feel like you're that type of person, right? The type of person that believes more in the people than what they believe in themselves. And like you get them to do the stuff that they didn't even believe they could.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And because I can be empathetic to them because I've been them. I've been broke. I've been negative broke, right? I feel it all the time. I have brand new agents. I have 20-year veterans in the industry that I still coach and mentor, and they get in these ruts and they're like, oh, you don't get it or whatever. No, I totally get it. I can go back in my cerebellum and feel just as shitty if I ever wanted to as when I was in all that mess, right? I know how I felt in my gut. I know how I felt in my mind. I know how it felt to just weep on a random Tuesday night because I felt like I was never getting out of this. I've been in your shoes, I promise, and it doesn't last that long. So I think is an important message. I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to trust in you more than you are going to do yourself because I've been there and I know it's not going to last forever. It won't. You're going to feel that way, but I know the truth,
And based on what you're just saying right now, so if you have this mindset shift that if right, where you're going, whatever it is that you're going right now through, right, it's just going to be part of the process for the ultimate goal, right? Everything is part of the process. So if you know that, instead of being caught up in how you feel or what's going on, man, because I have this mindset in which I don't think, I feel it. I feel that everything is always going in my favor. So instead of waiting for me to go through the stuff and then look back and then learn the lesson that I had to learn going through it, I learned it going through it. So I asked myself, all right, so what is this trying to teach me? How is this benefiting me, right? If it's true that everything is always going in my favor and what's happening right now, whether it's good or bad, everything is going in my favor, why, right? And I try to learn the lesson during the process, right? And be grateful about it, have some gratitude, and then I have found that I go through the process much faster and with more ease. So if you already know that you're going to, that whatever it is that you're going through, whatever hardship you're going to be learning from later, well then try to learn from it now and see what's trying to tell you, right? So let's see what I wanted to, and there's 4 currencies, man. There's 4 currencies. This just came. 4 currencies: money, right? Money, knowledge, time, and network, right? And if you use money, right, you use money to buy knowledge from someone else, right? So now you have money and knowledge. You use those two. You use your time, your money and your knowledge. You're going to make more. You can have more time, right? And then you keep on investing in yourself. You keep on using the money to buy knowledge and to buy time, and then you're going to have all this network. So I just wanted to say that those are the 4 currencies.
I love that. I just wrote that down. Where did you come up with that? Did you get that from somewhere? I've never heard that before, but I love it.
I don't know. I don't know where I heard it from, but it stuck with me because it's been my journey, right? So I used money to buy a bunch of knowledge, right, from people, and knowledge is a currency, man, right? Knowledge is something that you can share and exchange, right? So it's a currency, and then that knowledge you use it to make more money, right? And then more money you use it to get more knowledge, and then when you have a lot of knowledge, you can do all of this stuff, and all of a sudden you have more time, right? Because you learn leadership, you learn skills, you learn system, right? And when you have more money, you invest in more knowledge, you have knowledge, you have more time back, and then all of a sudden you have the freedom to think, which is the highest valuable thing to do, and build a network. So now you're just looking to, how can I help people, right? You're not stuck in this scarcity mode that
I
Like,
love that. In my brain, I just equated it to, I don't know if you do crypto or anything. I'm not huge into it, but if your audience is, I think about this as like time would be my ultimate coin. I'd want the most amount of time coins as humanly possible. So constantly, I'm going to trade money to get knowledge to convert into my network to ultimately get time.
time,
Yeah.
100%.
That dude, that's awesome. I wrote that down with a couple arrows and stuff. I'm gonna make a little diagram. That's sweet.
So, and those are currencies because like you can literally trade them. You trade time for money. You trade, knowledge for money. You trade, what is the other one? Time, money, network, right? Like,
yep.
right. So yeah, pretty cool, man. So, man, we're almost out of time, and I always end my interviews with 5 questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you the first one. So this first question is, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could not change anything or redo your life or anything like that? Just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would that be?
You're gonna go through some rough patches, especially financially, and know that it's going to be just a blip on the radar in terms of the amount of time. It's going to feel terrible and it'll feel like it will never end. Go through the process, trust it, but just keep your mental game sharp and focused. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to be a better salesperson. You don't need to be a better recruiter. You don't need to perfect any skill, nothing. Just know mentally that this pain will not last. It'll be like stubbing your toe at the end of the day. It sucks for 90 seconds and then it's over. I think that's the only thing. If I could go, I watched that Adams Project on Netflix, a sick movie with Ryan Reynolds. He like goes back in time and you can't tell anybody anything about like what's going on in the future. So that would be my little loophole. Like,
nice.
Just get through the pain.
Like that, man. The second question is mindset. So what is one mindset shift that you can share that has allowed you to get to where you are right now?
Don't be afraid or have a scarcity mindset of your own money. This has been a universal tip for the whole call, I think, but invest in yourself, invest in your business. Don't hang on to money because it's not doing anything for you. Bradley, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, all these people will tell you money is a tool, and 1000% it is. And as soon as you change your mindset to think that my checking account is my sledgehammer or whatever tool analogy you want to use, the better your business is going to be.
And man, so the hard thing about this is that we're raised with a scarcity mindset. Like we a lot of times don't even notice it. So just a quick story. The other day, actually like a year ago, we went to the mall, bought my daughter some clothes, right? A bunch of clothes for my daughter and my wife. And I bought like all the clothes. I literally spent for like $800 on like clothes for my 1-year-old. And all of the clothes, man, was extremely big for her size. So like we got home and we put a shirt on her, and like it looked awful, man. And like the reason I did it was because of a scarcity mindset. Because when I used to be a little kid, my mom would like she was young and all that. My mom would buy me like extra big clothes so that it would last longer, right? And I
You'll grow into it.
I did the same, man. Like without fucking thinking, it was I did it unconsciously, and we naturally like because I wanted to save money. Then I drove home. Then I had to drive back and then spend hours returning everything and getting it right. But it was a huge lesson for me, man. Like that small thing, like buying my 1-year-old daughter clothes for like a 2-year-old, just because I thought subconsciously that it was going to last her longer.
Yeah,
that's crazy, right?
I recognize that, and I do the same thing with stuff. It's crazy.
I recognized it on the way back home, man, and it was like what the? When I recognized it, man, it was like super. It was painful. It was like it was a great lesson, man. So yeah, so thank you for sharing that, man. The third question is mindset map. So what is a strategy, tactic, tool, or piece of advice that you could give for people that want more clarity in their life?
If your focus is money, right, and you need that financial stability so that way all your other pillars don't crumble. Like I said before, monetize every aspect of your activity. So and I'm a maniac when it comes to like, I got in this business to make money. We're not like doing stuff, right? We're not saving the whales or whatever. You could with money, but like Wolf of Wall Street says, we're not saving the spotted owl, right? We're selling insurance, trying to make money to provide for our families, etc. But I'm a maniac when it comes to like every dial, every door knock, every close, has a monetary value. So if you're not in the insurance industry, but you need to get up and go to a W-2 job, or you need to get up and sling ice cream during the day, set the monetary value of waking up early to whatever it is for you, $40, $100, and that gets deposited in your mental account. Going to sleep early is another $40, $100, whatever it is. Every call you make is another $7, whatever it has to be. So that way you are leading down the path of, no matter what positive activity you are formulating for yourself and your business, it's going to lead to dollars in the future. And that will alleviate some of that scarcity that we talked about, because you're getting constant deposits. They're going to be future deposits, but they're coming in constantly every single friggin' day. So as soon as you map your mind to believe that it is going to happen, because it does, it's not like bullshit or whatever, right? It's not like it will happen. As soon as you shift your mindset to know that, you won't be scared to spend, you won't be scared to invest, you'll have some motivation to get up in the morning, you'll have motivation to stay late, and everything will play out, and you'll habitually be positive.
Yeah, awesome, man. The fourth question, mindset, map, motion. The fourth question is about motion, so what is a habit that you have? So what is one habit that you think has contributed to your success?
Oh, I need a decompression every day.
Nice.
Usually it's physical activity, which is weird, but it helps me relax. So I play racquetball 3-4 times a week. I'll go to the gym. I like rock climbing, any type of activity. I don't love weight training. I get a little bored. I have a lot of ADHD and I get a little bored with that. But my exercise or my physical activity is my decompression. So like racket sports, I love. Rock climbing, I love. Swimming, I love. And I need to do something like that every day. One, to like clear my brain and just focus on doing that activity. And two, it wears me out a little bit and I can relax at night. I think that's super important.
You get out of your head and you go into your body, and that's an easy way to like be present, right? So like I work out after I finish working, right? And that gets me out of my head.
Yes.
And and then I go to my family, and now I'm able to like be there because I'm not in my head.
Keeps you present, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Mindset, map, motion, measure. The final question, man, is around you've been talking about this, but like, what are your thoughts on tracking and measuring?
Yeah, you never want to go backwards, right? One important lesson that I think Brandon was talking about on stage at GrowthCon was, you don't have a real business if it doesn't grow every single year. It can't stay static, and it sure as hell can't go down, right? So my measurement is, as long as you're growing in the micro, you're going to grow in the macro. A lot of business owners will focus on, well, I did 2 million this year, so now I want to do 5 million. But what does that mean to the week, to the day, to the hour, right? So it's much easier to grow in an 8-hour workday than it is to grow over the course of 12 months. So focus on that, and your measurability should be focused on that. So like, I have 9 appointments today between client meetings and interviews, right? So I want, what is today? March 28th. I want March 28th of 2023 to have 12 interviews as opposed to 9, right? Or 12 meetings, or whatever the case may be. Or I want my agents to have more meetings, and et cetera. So you want your next day to be better than the last. So focus on growth just in the micro, and you'll look back at your past year and be like, holy shit, I exploded. Well, that's because you were focused on easy tasks rather than that monumental one,
Nice. Yeah. So like a big thing, chunk it down, and then just focus on that front end thing and become better at it. Progress and growth. Awesome. Yep. So mindset, map, motion, measure, money, right? Like, I ask those questions every single day, man. And I have over 72 people who, there's a pretty common thread on what mindset you need to have, what like map, clarity, like motion, habits, and measure, right? Tracking and measuring. And like, if people start implementing all of those things that we talk about towards the last 5 minutes of this interviews, they're gonna get a bunch of money. So, man, thank you very much. I've enjoyed this a lot, and
me too, bro.
It's been a pleasure. So, man, if someone else out there, is trying to get to know you better, know more about Peter, know more about insurance, know more about you, where should they go?
Yep, you can go to Pete Fournier, PeteFournier, PeteFournier.com. That's my life insurance website. You can hit me up on any social media. I'm at Peter J. Fournier, Fournier, at Peter J. Fournier on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. DM me, hit me up on my website, whatever you need to do. I'm usually pretty responsive, especially at nighttime. I go through all my messages. So shoot me a DM. I'd love to talk to you.
Brother, well, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. And yeah, we're going to point all those links. Anything special that you got going on, like an event, a book, or anything like that?
I got a couple speaking engagements coming up, Medicare Con. So if you are in the insurance space, it's one of the best events out there. It's at the end of April. Go to MedicareCon.com. I'll be one of the keynote speakers for there.
Awesome.
SWAT Financial is another training. It's really good for insurance agents, but it's also applicable to all sales. That's at the end of May. Also keynoting that. So SWATtraining.info, I think, is the website to buy tickets. That's in Texas. Medicare Cons in Alabama. And then 8% Nation is a massive insurance event in July. And I'll have a keynote and a breakout session during that. So come say hi. If you're in the space, great. Get a ticket. They're super cheap. And it's worth the price of admission.
Awesome, man. So thank you very much. And it was a pleasure. And I'll see you later, man.
All right, my man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms